Welcome to another episode of the Bobcast. A winter edition will begin with the track and field team opening its indoor season at Marietta, with the men's track and field team winning the meet and the women placing ninth. A whole lot of Division II competition at Marietta as well. The men 3 wins on the day, the women winners in the 4x200 relay. So, Coach, it's a first meet of the season. What do you expect from a meet like this to begin the year, and what did you get from your teams?
Well, first meet, we give them a little bit more leeway. Actually, let them sign up for some events and things that we might not do down the road there. Uh, Mostly just trying to determine, where are we at with our conditioning, where are we at with our technique. Uh, you know, what we're seeing in practice, does it carry over into the meets? Uh, and of course, with all of our new people, we're just trying to assess where are they at, how competitive can they be, uh, so it's a good opportunity to ultimately see, hey, what do we need to work on. Uh, the meet was a little bigger and a little more competitive than we typically see in our first meet of the year. But not, an issue. If anything, it probably helps because it gives more of our people, more competition.
Sure. And specifically speaking, what did you think of the conditioning and the technique that your athletes showed on Saturday?
We're on the right track. And we've been pleased with, simplistically, I guess we can say we've been pleased with the attitude that we've been seeing at our practices. Uh, we have a lot of new people, and fortunately, we have some upper class leadership, particularly on the men's side there. That they come to work every day, and the new people have adopted that approach. I think some of that's in their makeup to begin with. We're going to come along pretty nicely, I think, just because we have that attitude, and we don't see people slacking at practice and things of that nature. So good things, hopefully will come down the road.
This kind of reminds me of carryover from cross country, where the men's roster was the larger roster. You've got 45 guys listed on that men's track and field roster. The men's team winning the meet in track and field. Your top eight finishers in each event contribute to the final score. Were you pleased to see the quantity of scorers, and do you think that the depth of this team is really a big strength?
Well, we definitely have some depth. We're probably deeper in the jumps and the hurdles than we've been in quite some time. Uh, as you and I were talking a little before we came on air here, we have some really good event coverage in all the event areas, and that's always helpful in track and field. Uh, we're actually probably weaker in the throws area in terms of depth compared to what we traditionally have had years past. Uh, but we still have some individuals over there, and certainly some talent in that area as well. So uh, we're looking forward to getting better.
I'm going to touch on a few individual performances. Shamar Nelson winning the long jump at 6.84 meters. John Kearns winning the weight throw, 17.31 meters. I know it's really early to be talking this, but John Kearns, everyone had their first meet, in these last few weeks. 11th longest weight throw. Shamar Nelson, 19th longest long jump. Christian Healy's also in the top 50 in the nation, just from the very first meet. But is it nice to have a starting point where we're already starting here ahead, and are you pleased by that? Do the guys have it in their head?
Definitely, and although it was our first meet, this is actually the second week of competition nationally. So, going to what you're asking about, there's 2 weeks of competition there that, and we're sitting in some of those spots that we're at now. Clearly, as you've kind of suggested there, we need to keep at that, and keep on improving, because things will change tremendously, throughout the indoor season. But it's nice to start there, and I hope these people kind of feed off of those performances.
Yeah, it's exciting to see Frostburg State on those lists already. I want to shift over to the women's side, and the women, especially we're talking the relays, have been extremely competitive last year in being just on the brink to go to nationals. And a lot of those runners on the shorter relays, the longer relays, they're the same runners or mostly the same runners. Um, Obviously, minus Kayla Truesdale graduating after a very decorated career. What did you make of the relay on the day on the women's side, and is that a grouping that you're excited about seeing what they can do this season?
Well, we did put two 4x2s out on the track, and that's nice to see, especially on the women's side. I think that we have the ability to mix and match some relays a little bit more during the course of the year, which will be very beneficial to qualifying. What I mean by that is, we may be able to, take a woman out of a relay and, let them focus maybe more a little bit on individual qualifying, and yet still be competitive in that relay with, the individuals that we've maybe, substituted with. And one of our challenges with all of our relays, men and women, will of course be, what is the best mix for the different meets and things. So we have a lot of potential there on the women's side in both of the indoor relays, the 4x2s and the 4x4s, and I actually think we can put together maybe a decent DMR as well, because we have Sarah McCurry and Sadani Brown, and then you go down to some of your shorter events and things, and we've got some depth there on the women's side that we can probably run a good relay there as well. We won't do that all the time, but come championship, that's something we're capable of doing.
Sure. Really, finally, for a first meet of the season, any newcomers, men's or women's side, that really caught your attention or surprised you in this first meet?
Uh, that's you putting me on the spot there, because
Yeah.
we had a lot of new people do a lot of good things. I really want to stress that. One of the upperclassmen towards the end of the meet, made a comment to me that hey, these new people really stepped up and showed us what they can do.
Great.
So it's nice to see that the upperclassmen recognize those contributions. All the way around. You see new people. We had it on the women's side there in the sprints, and we on the men's side there were new people all over the place. We got some real nice contributions from some of the new jumpers. Justin Dunklin, Jimmy Spears is a work in progress, but shows a lot of potential. Bolu is going to help us out in a couple different advanced sprints and jumps. And I think ultimately we're going to have a lot of competition in the sprint core and in the hurdles, because we have a lot of new people pushing the upperclassmen.
Well, that is exciting. Track and field, a solid performance in its first meeting, both men's and women's side, off until January 11th at WVU Open. Finally, what's the plan between now and then?
Well, we're off practicing as we approach finals exams here, so we won't be back together as a group until January 9th. We certainly are going to stress to these folks that we want to keep it rolling over break in terms of them, working out. And then we're right at it right away. As soon as we come back, we've got to meet on January 11th over at WVU. A little limited meet, so it's going to put a little pressure on the coaching staff to try to fit everybody in. But that's all right. It's it's a couple days after we come back, and then we're just at it. Most every week, until the end of May, really.
And that is the life of track and field. Dale Louie, thank you so much for chatting. Nice first week of the season.
Thank you very much.
Next on the Bobcast, we have women's basketball head coach Carrie Saunders, and WBB 2 wins this past week, defeating Wilson on Monday 76-33, and then a big win over Catholic 61-36, the same Catholic team that beat Salisbury by double digits this past Wednesday. So, Coach, I want to start just with the defense that your team played in this last week, holding Wilson to 33 points and Catholic to 36 points. I feel like it's kind of flown under the radar. What has made your team so effective on the defensive end of the floor all season, just in this last week?
Well, we preach it every day in practice. So that's a big thing that we work at least half of practice on every single day. And I always say, if we can defend, especially in our conference, then we've got a shot because we can score. Even if we don't have a great quarter, a great half, if you defend, you can still be in the game. And so I think that's something that's kind of taken a back seat in a lot of basketball these days. And so especially when my new kids come in to my program and we're preaching defense, 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 and it's so awesome. Like after this week, to kind of see their eyes light up, like, oh man, she's she's right. Like we can really defend and we can really hold people to low scoring games. And so it's an amazing thing to see our girls kind of clicks for them too. So defense has always been a huge part of our program, and it kind of came full circle this week. We held two good teams to low scoring each night. So really, really proud of our defense.
We talked a lot last year about how good the practices were with last year's team, even despite the injuries and the illness and all that. What's practice been like with this group?
Practice has been competitive. We've shift some things around, how we start off each practice, working on things that we're not great at. So the first 30 minutes of practice every single day is working on things that we feel like are our biggest weaknesses. And we've been doing that for about a week and a half now, and I think it has tremendously helped us. We have been able to, you know, both defense and boxing out and our post entry, like all of the things that we've been working on, I feel like came to life this week. And so practices overall have been competitive. Some days we mix our teams up. Some days we have all the young ones against all the older ones. Some days, it's all different. But for most practices, it remains competitive, which means that our depth is getting stronger, which is something that's really great too.
And here we are sitting at 7-2 at this point in the season. I want to touch on the Wilson win, jumping out to a 23-7 lead after the first 10 minutes. Really, what led to that hot start? And is that something that you've come to expect with your team, especially considering the experience in your starting lineup?
Yeah, we always talk about, jumping on them first. I always say, make them call the first time out. And I think if you make the other team call the first time out, you've kind of gained that initial momentum. However, this past game, we were the ones to call the first time out. So whatever happens, we know we face adversity and we fight through. But that Wilson game, jumping off to that lead, it was a testament to our defense still. But we also got out in transition and got some quick, easy buckets. So with a combination of those two, with our defensive stops leads to quick, easy buckets for us. So that's something that we thrive off of as well.
Yeah, and the big defensive performances lead to offensive outputs. Also on Wilson, I want to touch on the fact that Frostburg was playing without Megan Kelly, missing another game with her injury. She returned for the Catholic matchup, but Kayla Wilson stepping up and leading all scorers in that game. How pleased were you with the balanced scoring attack and just really making up for and not missing a beat without Megan Kelly?
Yeah, we needed someone to step up in that game, and that's kind of what we talked about. And so she did do a good job of being able to lead her team, and she's been working hard in practice, trying to figure out her role and figuring out what we want for her. There's a lot of things that she's having to adapt to, about using her voice more and making good decisions on both sides of the floor. And she's really trying, and she's doing a really great job at that. So it was nice to see her, be our leading scorer after all that work that she put in.
I want to shift gears to Catholic, and there's a lot of impressive numbers from this win. Catholic shooting just 20% from the field. Frostburg 10 steals and 8 blocks defensively. That third quarter, a 17-2 run to extend the lead to 24 points. And really 28 second chance point. There's on and on. Frostburg plus 12 on the boards. Really, what is your biggest takeaway, or what are you most proud of in terms of what your team accomplished against Catholic?
I think one of the biggest thing that comes to mind is adversity. We had some transportation issues that day.
Really?
Yes, bus never showed. We ended up having to get a van and a car and pile in, and coaches drove us down to the game. So being able to show up late to a game, being able to get mentally prepared, get ready, and be able to come out with a big win like that is really great. From on the court perspective, I think one of our biggest things is if we kept them out of the paint, and we limited their offensive rebounds. We won the boards. Um, we would have been fine, and that's exactly what we did. We shut down every aspect that they wanted to do. We watched a lot of film on them before, and I think it kind of came to life when we watched film and realized that our defense kind of can shut everything that they want to do offensively down. And then also on the offensive side of the floor, really getting the ball inside to our post players, which is something that we haven't done a great job of this year. So it was kind of really great to see Sydney and Amanda kind of come to life that game as well. So, I mean, there were so many things that we did well. It kind of all clicked. We had a great group of fans there as well on the road, which helps. A lot of alumni came back to watch us that game. So it was just a really cool day for our program.
You took my next question about Sydney Stotler and Amanda Emery. A huge production early in the season in terms of the minutes that they're playing and the numbers that they're putting up. Stotler, another 14 and 14 performance. How did they impact this game, and how have they progressed this season?
You know, both of them have played big minutes for us in the past, freshman and sophomore seasons, and that's kind of it's a culmination of what's going on with them right now. They're able to play really big minutes for us, and they're really comfortable, one, with each other and with the group that we have out on the floor because they've been playing together for so long. And we kind of forced the issue this week in practice to get them the ball inside that, you know, there's games where they shut down our shooters. Like, we are much more versatile than what we're showing. So we've got to be able to get the ball inside, inside out, back inside, and those two really came to life, this past game, and we're physical. That's what I wanted from them. I wanted their physicality to show because they are strong. And Sid on the defensive side of the floor, blocking shots, getting rebounds. Amanda on the offensive side of the floor. Amanda's usually guarding their best player. She kind of does some of the dirty work that goes unseen, and she's just been doing an unbelievable job. I was so happy with both of their performances this week.
At the beginning of the year, you told me that it's possible for a team to prove itself during its non-conference schedule. Where would you say your team is in that process?
Oh, I'm so proud. We talk about making a statement, and that's kind of our motto. And I think we have done that. This is the first time in a long time since Frostburg's been 7-2 going into finals. And it's a testament to them. That Chatham game, those games that we were down, it's a huge thing for us. And I think the biggest thing is that they have belief in each other. They have belief in the process, and they're finally seeing that hard work kind of showing up in the win column. Whereas in the past few years, they've kind of still showed up in the loss column after close games. And now we're getting to the point where we know that we can beat teams, and then this past weekend we know that we can beat a good team and really shut them down. So it's a great thing. I think we are so ready for conference. We're excited, but we know that every single night, especially this year, is going to be a fight. I think anyone can beat anyone in the CAC this year, but we're going to be ready, and so that's really exciting.
Women's basketball off until December 29th at Mount Aloysius, and then turning around January 2nd and hosting Mary Washington. What's the plan or schedule between now and then, and what are you looking to get accomplished in these few weeks?
We've got some individuals planned. We're going into finals. Just kind of working on things that skill work that we need to work on with them, taking advantage of this time, them just coming in for individual sessions in between what they need to do until they really get into finals. Then they're going to have a nice little break. I always told them if they do their job and if they go home and work out over break and come back ready to go, then we'll have a nice, break. So they're going to get a well-deserved break time with their family as well. But we're going to come back right after Christmas and hit the ground running again. But I'm really hoping that they come back hungry and ready, and which I know that they will. So this week is kind of just spent towards getting everything tied up, things that we kind of want to put in their mind for when they come back, of things that skill work that we want them to work on heading into the CAC. So we're sitting pretty right now. So it's kind of it's a nice feeling finally to go into the holiday and really be able to enjoy it and just get ready for the CAC.
Women's basketball 7-2 after a 2-0 week. We're excited for conference play to come in January. Carrie Saunders, thank you for joining me once again this week.
Thank you very much.
Next on the Bobcast, we have men's basketball with head coach Sean Brown. And Men's basketball played at Division I Longwood on Friday evening and lost 68-65 in overtime. And Longwood, a Division I team that is off to its best start since becoming a Division I program. A game scheduled with a Division III team. They'd already defeated Randolph, another D3 team, handily early in the season. So that's a game that Longwood is expected to win handily. A game that goes into overtime. Coach, what did you see from your team in terms of competitiveness and toughness on Friday night?
Well, our guys showed they showed a lot of grit. Um, and these guys never gave up. They were, when they figured out that they were in the game and they were as good as the other team, they started to battle. And a lot of the things that we preach, a lot of the things that we try to teach these guys, it just came out of them. We let them play freely, which we always try to do, and these guys responded.
Coach, what was practice like all week leading up to this game, and what was the coaching staff's attitude about playing a Division I program, and how did your team respond to the week leading up to the game?
Well, leading the week leading up, we had a pretty solid showing against Bridgewater College. They kind of made it a game at the end, and when we showed some maturity, and we got through and we got that victory. And then all week, we kind of kept it loose, but we approached this game like it was any other game. The preparation was the same. Well, I can't say it was exactly the same because we had a whole week to prepare.
Sure.
So the first 2 or 3 days were all about us. Getting back into the weight room and getting back to some of the fundamental things that we want to teach, and we want our guys to understand and learn about our program, because again, it's as I keep saying, it's still early, and we have a mix of kids that's from a lot of different areas and a lot of different types of programs. So we still have a lot to work on. So we went back to fundamentals on Monday, Tuesday, and mostly on Wednesday. We worked on us. Um, the coaching staff, though, this was actually between myself and Coach Campbell. We've been trading scouts back and forth. We'll quickly get Coach Lacani acclimated once he get up to speed, and once his class is done. I think this week, so we'll get him involved in the scouting reports and all of that. But you know we were scouting him all week, and although it was my scout, Coach Campbell would come and, hey, Coach Brown, did you see this? Coach, hey, Coach, did you see this? And then on Thursday, when we sat down and actually put our heads together for matchups and how we're gonna how deciding how we're gonna guard pick and rolls and how we're gonna guard off screens, and when we put our heads together, Coach Campbell said, "So, Coach, I got a few suggestions for you." And it's over. The game's over now, so I guess I could tell a few of those secrets. And he goes, "Well, I've watched all of their games, and I've kind of gone back and I broke some of those things down. And Tyler and Coach Lacani, they're big on statistics and all of that stuff. And
Tendencies,
tendencies,
those sort
yeah,
of things. Yeah.
yeah, they're big on that. So, which I've always, as a coach, I'm always looking to grow. I'm always looking to get better. That's one of the things that that I'm looking to get better and on the analytics side. So
Hmm.
he goes, Coach, our 2-3 zone's pretty good, and they don't look like they play real well against a zone. So I think we could probably bother them in the zone. Although our man-to-man is getting better, and we want to be a man-to-man team. That was something that he saw, that Coach Campbell saw, and in watching all of that film, and kind of breaking them down. So that really helped. So that helped in our preparation. Again, we prepared like it was a regular game. Once we actually showed the guys the film, we all week we were looking at each other as coaching staff like, yeah, we should probably beat this. We should probably beat this team. We think we should win this game. So when the guys actually saw the film on Thursday, they felt confident that we could go in and compete with this team.
How much zone did you end up playing on Friday night?
Probably 70%.
And how do you stay aggressive defensively in a zone compared to man-to-man defense? How do you keep that mindset, and how do you think your team did defensively
Well,
in that aspect?
well, several things as I told Lawrence to start the second half, I told him as long as we keep it within 15, we're going to switch up defenses. That's how we keep our guys sharp, keep them aggressive, and keep them ready, and also getting fresh bodies in there, getting guys. Although some guys didn't play a whole lot of time. As you see, we got a lot of we stay with our regular rotation, no matter if it was Division One or a professional team.
Sure.
We're going to go with what we've been teaching and what we've been coaching, and we're going to trust our guys. I mean, heck, we played our fourth string point guard uh, probably 20 minutes. He finished the game, if I'm not mistaken, and played well. So that goes to show. What I've been telling you is what we truly believe. I mean, we're number one, we want to create a competitive environment in this program, and number two, the best players will play. But the second way to keep guys from not being lazy, our zone is a matchup, and it almost turns into a man-to-man. So a lot of the time, we had our man-to-man principles, but we were matched up, and I think we kind of caught Longwood off guard sometimes, a few possessions with switching, along with our matchups our zone looking like a man-to-man. I'm not sure if they were quite prepared for that.
Were you guys excited to defend, excited that it was working? Did they buy into the scheme, and did it pay off for them?
They did not at first.
Not at first.
Our guys, they're a lot like their head coach. I'm a hard head, and I want to go man to man. I want me against you, and early on they're like, Coach, let's just go man. I go, all right, cool, fine, let's go man. Okay, then they go on a 16-0 run. So we went back to a zone. We got a few stops, and they go, Coach, let's go back to man. And we go, well, let's just try zone a little bit longer. Once we started getting stops, and we had to score on the other end. There's two sides of the basketball, but once we started getting stops and scores, they kind of bought in, and okay, we could play some zone, and those guys were communicating, they were pointing, they were talking, they did everything we asked them to do.
Was there a point in the game where it clicked for your team that we can play with these guys and beat these guys when they were out on the floor?
Yes, there were, and I could tell you when that point was. It was 21-11, if I'm not mistaken, and we had gotten a few stops, and we got the shots that we wanted, but we couldn't quite put the ball in the hole. Then I think they scored again, and then we went on like an 8-1 run, or maybe a 9-1 run.
Yeah, they led by as many as 14, and then it was cut back down to 1.
Well, it was 21-11, I'm looking at my coaches, and looking at our guys, and our guys are still in it. Like defensively, we're still in it. And I'd look at our guys, and we're playing hard. We're doing exactly what we need to do defensively. We're getting stops, and I knew it was a matter of time. All we had to do is hit one or two shots, and the tide will start turning, and it did.
It did, and it was a game that whole second half. I want to get towards the end of the game.
Yes, sir.
In a close road game, you're playing a team, scholarship athletes, and you get to pressure situations. Obviously, your team made some plays, their team made some plays. How do you think your team handled when things got tight and there was adversity at the end of a game?
Well, for a second, our guys started to go in opposite directions. But then, credit to them. They pulled together. There was a timeout where, guys were starting to bicker, and then they kind of just came together, and they started talking, and they figured it out. And that was the coaches, it was one of those times where we kind of just stayed away from that huddle, that timeout. We probably gave them 45 seconds to a minute to kind of figure it out. And we just stood over there and talked, and, kind of relished in the moment ourselves while they figured it out. And then once they were done hashing it out, once I walked back over, everyone was quiet, and they were ready for instruction. But I was proud at how they came together, and how those guys believed and never quit it, never quit.
Can you tell me about how your team executed to tie the game with the final shot in regulation?
Yes, that was a call play. All right, and I want to say big ups to those guys. They executed what we do at practice. I mean, we go over different situations. I'll say 80% of the practice we putting our guys in different situations. Down 13 with 6 minutes to go, up two with the ball with 1 minute to go, down three with 14 seconds to go. All kinds of
Sure.
situations we're putting them in. So this was a situation that these guys have been in. They're comfortable. So this is, there was a call play. We have two plays that we like to run in that situation. One of them we called, and it was a call play. But what happened? It was, Daniel was having an
Oh, yeah.
excellent game.
We'll get to him.
And the help came as he caught the ball. Because it was a play for him to catch and make a play. He was going to take a two again, and we were going to try to foul right away. But obviously that play took too long. But the help came, and Daniel made the pass to Edwin. Ed caught it and let it fly, and knocked it down, winning the overtime. Ed's been in the gym 4 or 5 days a week, as I've stated on several occasions. We've been putting up 400, 500 jump shots a day. Really looking to expand his game. It's been happening slowly but surely. But the more he takes, the more he's making, and he's taking them with confidence.
A big shot to take and a big shot to make for sure. I want to get into some of the individual performances, starting with Daniel Alexander. He played all 45 minutes, set another career high at 33 points, 5 made threes, 12 rebounds. What can you say about his performance on Friday evening?
Well, I've been saying since the first
You have.
podcast that Daniel, man, he's whew, when I first seen him on the court, and on October 15th, I couldn't believe it. And he's only going to get better. He's growing as a player. He's taking the coaching. He's allowing us to coach him. He's been a hard worker. There's some things he can get better at. He needs to get in the gym and continue to shoot the ball more. That's got to become consistent. His 3-point shot, we'd like for him to expand his game out to the three. He can hit the three. That's
Sure.
obvious. Last year he shot it close to 40%.
38%, yeah.
Yeah, this year he's up there again, if I'm not mistaken, and he hit maybe 3 or 4 this weekend. So he can really shoot the ball, but we'd like for him to be unstoppable. How do you guard him? You can't give him any space. You can't get up on him. His pull-up game is excellent.
Yeah.
So he can score at all 3 levels right now, but not consistently. But Daniel has room to grow. We like to see him grow a little more defensively. But he played 45 minutes.
Yeah, he did.
How much can we ask for? He gave us a double-double. I think he had like 32 and 11 or something like that. So
Yeah.
he played really, really well. But Daniel has so much room to grow. He's still trying to figure it out. Once his basketball IQ reaches athleticism,
Yeah.
man, he could be a really good player.
A monster night for him. I also want to touch on a couple of guys. Terry Kenner and Jamil Jones played season highs in minutes for your team on Friday night. Lawrence Pettis in foul trouble, Kenner playing more minutes. Those guys were put into situations that they had not been in for this team this season. How did they respond, and what did they bring to your team on the floor?
Well, Terry, from the beginning, we've been trying to work Terry in and try to see where he fits. And then Terry, he had an illness. He had gotten sick for about 2.5 weeks. So he was in and out of the lineups. Just wasn't himself. So he had gotten healthy about a week ago, and he played well in the Bridgewater game. His numbers didn't reflect it, but he played really well. His first game back totally healthy, but he had lost weight. He had his energy wasn't there. His endurance wasn't where it should be. So we've been trying to get Terry back. Terry's slowly but surely getting back. He's getting back healthy. He's a JUCO kid who also had really good numbers last year. He played at Anne Arundel Community College. He's a Prince George's County kid. But Terry, I think he went to Duval. Terry, I think he averaged somewhere around 20 points a
Yeah.
game last year on 46% shooting and close to 40% from the three. So Terry's an efficient player, and he can really get his shot. He can get his shot when he wants to. He's one of those kids. He just gives us an additional playmaker. Again, his shot hadn't been dropping, and I think he's been, he's a real conscious kid, academically as well, socially and as well as his game. He after practice, some days he's in the gym 2 hours after practice
Hmm.
working on his game, and it's I mean it's incredible. We once he start to we think he was worried about his shooting percentage, and once we told him we're not worried about your shooting percentage. We want you to play make out there. I think he's playing a lot loose now, and we can look forward to him making plays here once we get into conference play.
And Jamel
Jimmy,
Jones.
Jamil, Jamil, he got off to a slow start in the preseason, and again we brought in 2 point guards, and we knew we had two pretty solid point guards returning from last year's team. So we kind of let all those guys compete, and Jamil slowly but surely has been coming along. He's really been putting in the work in the weight room. Coach Matt really, really raves about Jamil. And these guys, we try to tell these guys everything affects everything. And the strength coach has been telling me for about 3 or 4 weeks now, this kid is coming. This kid is coming. He's working. He's hungry. And with that said, we've taken giving him a closer look at practice. We've given him a few more reps over the last 2.5 weeks. He's been accepted everything we've thrown at him. He's really, really learning quickly. Smart kid. He's a 6'4" point guard. That's
Uh
that's
huh.
that's nice to have. We're working on his shooting. He's been getting in the gym, getting individual workouts with the assistant coaches. The assistants are raving about him. He's a kid that we had to give a look to. And there was a point in the game where I was thinking, well, we're not rebounding well. Um, he has good length, and he's had some really great practices. And Lawrence fouled out, and we called on Jamil, and he answered the bell.
Give a lot of credit to those guys. A heck of a performance for FSU against Division One Longwood. No games this week. Eastern Mennonite comes to Bobcat Arena next Thursday afternoon. What's the plan in the schedule now between now and then for your team, and what are you looking to get accomplished?
Well, we're hoping our guys are going to throw this L out the window. They were pretty disappointed after that game. Um, we made some mental mistakes down there, and which really, really didn't sit well with our guys. And that's good. That's good. Our guys were upset that they didn't beat this
Mm-hmm.
this mountain of an opponent. But they thought that they should have, and as a coaching staff, we thought that we should have won. But we got to let that go, and hopefully our guys will kind of ball it up and throw it away, and kind of use that as fuel. What we'll do the next few weeks, we'll go again. We'll go back to fundamentals. We don't play a game for another almost 2 weeks. So we'll go back to fundamentals, and we'll run through our offensive sets, and we'll tighten up our defense. While we're nursing a lot of injuries, hopefully we'll get some of those injured players back. But we are coming up on exam week, so these guys got to buckle down and take care of business and do what they need to do in the class first. Exam week, as you we all know, that's a
Uh
really
huh.
a really stressful week, and guys are up early in the morning. They're staying up late. They're trying to drink coffee and you know Mountain Dew, and trying to stay woke and cram for those exams. So we won't be doing a whole lot during the exams, but we're right back at it as soon as the exam's over, and hopefully we'll get some of our guys that's beat up. We'll get them back.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're fired up to have men's basketball in Bobcat Arena next Thursday. It's been too long. Men's basketball, an exciting one this week. We're looking forward to EMU next week. Coach Sean Brown, thank you for joining me this week on the Bobcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.